Hello and welcome to Create Telemetry to enable seeing and solving problems, presented by Andre, Aaron, James, and Tammy. A fact of life in operations is that things go wrong. Small changes may result in many unexpected outcomes, including outages and global failures that impact all our customers. Our goal is to ensure that we always have enough telemetry so that we can confirm that our services are correctly operating in production. Telemetry is what enables us to assemble our best understanding of reality and detect when our understanding of reality is incorrect. With centralized telemetry infrastructure, application logging telemetry for production, and finding and filling any telemetry gaps, we will show that telemetry will help us understand our reality of production.
Often telemetry is collected by different organizations such as development and operations. However, this information is retained within the team where it is created. It is not shared widely throughout the organization. This is short-sighted. It creates silos of information where no one has access to telemetry about all parts of the system. This means they cannot gain a clear picture on how the application is performing as a whole. When something goes wrong, this lack of information sharing can make the problems difficult to understand and diagnose. Rather than keeping telemetry in individual repositories, the information should be shared widely through a centralized telemetry infrastructure. This infrastructure will include several components. The first part is data collection at all levels of the system, including the business logic, application, and environment layer. The data collected includes events, logs, and metrics about the application, the operating system, the deployment pipeline, and when, where, and how events occur. All of the data is then sent to an event router that stores the data and transforms it into metrics. These metrics help provide a clear picture of the health of the whole system. They can be used to help detect anomalies, set up alerts for future events, and analyze the data. Problems can be found earlier in the problem cycle, and the comprehensive data will enable the problem to be understood and solved. Self-service APIs provide easy access to the data, so it is readily available for anyone who needs it.
One important aspect of telemetry is the capability to provide sufficient information about all the parts of a system and all the features of an application. This requires careful considerations when a software or hardware component is designed. If one component lacks the means to speak for itself and to tell us what's going on, how can we possibly know where to look at when a problem arises? Or how can we know at any time what is its health state? Telemetry is useful not only for the developers team, but also for the operations team, the info security team, or even the final customers. In other words, everyone in the value stream can benefit from telemetry for a variety of reasons, usually related to their roles or goals. Now, when we talk about a sufficient amount of telemetry that can benefit all the teams, we also imply an intelligent tuning of the information logged and transmitted. For this reason, systems and applications provide different logging levels, according to the nature of the message and the level of details required. For example, the popular debug mode or debug level is known for the great amount of information generated during the usage or the operation of a system. The info level provides information about baseline behaviors considered normal or not concerning. The warn level generates information that requires some attention. The error level reports about failures or internal error. Let's consider some scenarios. If we configure the debug mode for an application running in the production environment, we may end up wasting disk space on our monitoring server unnecessarily and collecting data that we will never really use. If we configure a system to provide only info-level data and later the system generates errors, we will struggle to understand what's causing the problem. If we don't configure the warn level, it will be difficult to be proactive and prevent the occurrence of major problems So we can easily see how useful the telemetry is and how important it is to intelligently collect the right amount and the right type of information at any given time.
Now, while we're going around talking about the different types of telemetry and different logging levels and etc., it's important to find and fill telemetry gaps in our application stack, in everything. So on the business level, we need to know, for instance, the number of sales transactions and revenue of those transactions, user sign-up, churn rate, testing results, etc. On the application level, we need to know transaction time, user response time, and so on and so forth. On the infrastructure level, we need web server traffic metrics, CPU load, disk usage, all that sort of thing. On the client level, we need to know application errors and crashes, user measured transaction times, like how our JavaScript is performing. And on the deployment pipeline level, we need to know the deployment pipeline status, deployment lead times, deployment frequencies, and so on and so forth. Now, what's important to note here, and the central takeaway from this slide, is that we should apply the principles of telemetry at every level of DevOps. Everywhere that we are doing something, we need to have a telemetry metric to measure it and to better understand what is actually happening.
In finishing today, we want to remind everyone that our goal is to ensure we have enough telemetry to make sure services are correctly operating by understanding the system as a whole, creating or centralizing telemetry infrastructure, collecting data at all levels of the pipeline, using metrics to determine health of the system, and integrate self-service APIs for access to all levels. To create application logging telemetry that helps production. If it was important enough for an engineer to implement a feature, then it is likewise important to make sure it is created with telemetry. Find and fill any telemetry gaps. From the business level all the way to the deployment pipeline, we are ensuring that we will continually understand the flow and are able to have the metrics needed to be successful in delivering a satisfied customer product. Ultimately, our goal in telemetry is to make sure that we can see and find problems and correct them without impacting our customers. Thank you.